Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back to our episode, are we 12? I think I said 12, episode 12 of Ask Fleurish. And we are going to talk about color blending today. If you tuned in last week, we did color mixing and talked about how easy it is to mix colors together in the chalk paint range. And now we're going to do some color blending, and there's definitely a big difference. So I'm going to pour some paint onto a couple plates here while we give everybody a couple minutes to tune in here today. I always forget to ask for you to say hello if you've popped on and tell me where you are watching from. I'd love to hear who is tuning in. So say hello and tell me where you're watching from. Even if you watch this on the replay, I would love to hear where you are. So I'm just gonna pour some paint onto a couple plates here. Getting ready to do this color blending. Here. And I had someone tell me last week that I never introduced myself. So hi, I'm Deborah with Fleurish Home, and my background is, okay, there we go. I think we're back. Hi, are we back? Can you see me?
It says live.
It says live. Okay, sorry about that technical difficulties there for a moment. I think we're back in here. So again, I'm Deborah with Fleurish Home, and we are going to talk about color blending today with some paints. And I would love for you to tell me where you're from. So when you're in here, even if you're watching on the replay, tell me where you're from. Doug, I think we can go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Uh-oh, now Doug's trying to watch the video. Cameraman, you need to tune in here and zoom in on this a little bit. They don't want to look at me the whole time. They want to look at the paint. So, so doing color blending, you can do this a couple different ways, and let me know when you can see the board okay. Is this good?
Good.
All right. And I'm just going to work with two colors today to start out with to show you a couple different techniques that you can do. And the easiest way to start is by putting a corner of a flat brush into one color and a corner into another color. And the colors I'm using here are Duck Egg Blue and Chateau Gray, and these are the colors that we have in our Columbus shop. Our Columbus Fleurish Home store has these colors throughout. And I did this blending technique on the back wall behind the cash wrap. So you start by this, and I'm gonna do this little crosshatch technique here to blend the colors. And the idea is that I want to not have one color showing, or I could just stir them together. That was last week's episode of color mixing. This is blending. So what I want to see is a little bit of the duck egg, a little bit of the Chateau Gray, and a little bit of what it is if I would stir it together, and that's just gonna happen naturally as I blend with it. And I'm working over a base of old white so that you can see the contrast, but you will cover a little bit more quickly if you start with one of your two colors. So coming in here, I can do this really lovely crosshatch pattern here and just get this. I think it's so interesting and soft and pretty to get that blend like that. The other way that you can do this is to do a stipple technique. So again, I'm gonna take the corners of my brush and I can just pounce and move my brush around, blending a little bit as I go. If I over blend, I'm just going to get a single color. And then I may as well just stir it together.
Karen McLean says this looks like a wall finish.
It does. Yes, it is beautiful for a wall finish. You've probably done this on walls. I've definitely done this on a lot of walls. This two-color blend technique is what got me started in faux finishing. Gosh, that was probably back in about 2000 when I started my business, maybe even a little before then. This technique, I sold a lot of that technique on walls, but it's really pretty on furniture too. And so this technique I love on walls as well. And I have done this, it said it's behind our cash wrap in the Columbus store, and I've done this on furniture too, and I think it's really pretty. Maybe you want to do this just on the top of a dresser, and then the rest of it can be a single color, and you just choose one of those two colors, or another color altogether on the bottom, which is really pretty.
I have to make a comment. I'll never forget spending a month and a half making sure the walls in our first house were just perfect. And Deb went around in an evening and did the living room faux finish with, I believe, a feather duster.
Oh, the feather duster technique. Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's really in style anymore, but this definitely still is, yes. And the neighbors thought I was crazy, jumping around like a crazy person with a feather duster.
And at the end of the day, everybody just loved it and raved about the walls.
Absolutely.
I was always a little jealous after spending all that time. And all they could talk about was the paint, but it turned out awesome.
It did. It did. Now I want to show you a little bit of a navy blue. We have a lot of people painting Napoleonic blue, super popular color. So you can see here, but it might be a little bit vivid for what you want. And the graphite might be a little dark. So you can do this same type of technique where you take those colors and you blend them and you create this navy. So you can see when I blend them together on the surface, I've really just stirred them together. So if you do that, you're going to end up with a single color. If you go back to the technique that I just showed you, you're going to get a little bit different look. Again, one corner and the other, and kind of blend them this way. These two colors are closer together, so they're a lot more subtle. But you can see that there's still a really big difference between the stirred together and then the straight Napoleonic and the straight graphite. So it just depends on the look that you want. I like blending the colors because you kind of look at it and say, what is going on there exactly? I can't tell. And it just brings some depth and some interest, especially to something that's really flat, that is a little on the boring side. Sometimes you're working on a piece that is just really plain, and that's a good way to dress it up a little bit and make it interesting.
Try a little bit of the stipple effect with the...
With this?
Yeah,
sure.
I think that would look cool. Especially with those colors.
Yeah, it's so pretty. Just is interesting. So I'm just stippling that. So tell me, which one is your favorite? Do you like this kind of crosshatch? Do you like the stipple? Or do you like it stirred together? We'll take a little poll, see what you think. All right, and the last technique I want to show you with blending is an ombre effect. And that has become really, really popular over the last year or so. And a lot of people are wanting to do this ombre effect. It's so, so pretty. So you can do this on a solid surface like this. I've seen where they do color blocking, which is not true ombre, where you start with one color, so English yellow, and then going into the Barcelona orange, and then going into, say, Emperor silk. So three colors that are, blending into each other, close on the color wheel, or maybe just adding a white to a color and you're going from lighter to darker. And you can start by mixing those colors together and doing single colors like down a drawer, but a true ombre effect is actually blending the colors wet on wet. So I'm gonna start with some English yellow here at the top and paint this. So this is one of those techniques that, until you're a little more experienced, I would definitely do on a smaller surface, like a dresser top or a small table, the side of a dresser, something a little bit smaller to start out with. Get another brush in here. I'm gonna get into my Barcelona orange. And I'm gonna paint a little bit of that color here. And start to blend it down just a little bit. And this is the same thing. You can do this technique in kind of this crosshatch fashion, or you can stipple it. And I'm gonna start to bring a little bit of this orange up towards my yellow. And stipple that color into there. And then I'm going to start working into my yellow. And blending that in there. And you start to soften that edge. See how it's getting a little softer as I'm working into that. This requires a little more patience, as you need to really take your time in blending those colors if you want a soft effect. A little more orange in there. Make a mistake like that and you have too much orange on there, that's all right. Go back in and just add a little bit of yellow. And I'm just going to stipple this down into here a little bit more and work that back up. See how it just starts getting softer and softer and softer. Up again, and you have that pretty succession that just flows really softly into there. And I can do the same with the red. I'm running out of brushes. The brush is a little big, so here. All right, pounce this red here on the bottom. This nice big fat brush works a little bit better for this blending kind of technique than the stippling. And I want to be consistent, so. Oh, no, this is good. All right, so in there, I want to get a little bit more of the orange. And start blending that down into the red. So what do you think? Do you think that you would try an ombre effect on anything? Do you like it? Give me some thumbs up and some hearts if you like the ombre. And what you might want to paint it on. This is beautiful on walls too. I did our son's room in this in 3 shades of blue. And I painted over it a couple of years ago because I didn't think anybody liked it. And they were all in about a riot because they said it was their favorite room ever and how could I paint over it? I had no idea. So it is really, really pretty on a wall. It takes a little more finessing, as you can see, really taking that time to blend in. Now I'm really going to start working that edge. If you're working on a really, really large surface, you can add a little bit of glazing medium to your paint just to help it stay wet a little bit longer. and work with it, but on a piece of furniture it certainly is not necessary.
Maria Boziak's watching.
Hi Maria, long time girlfriend. Hope you're doing well. So see, isn't that pretty? Just blends right into there. And then you can, tweak that color as you need to. You can add a little bit more orange, a little bit more red, however you want to do that. I can have it come into here if I want to kind of give it a little bit of a halo effect and blend that even a little bit more down this way. I need a brush with a little more orange on it. I love the orange and red together. It's like tomato soup. It's so pretty. So there you go. There's an ombre effect. So you can do kind of crosshatch if you don't like the stipple. Another really fun way of doing it is to kind of just brush with the piece and you can get kind of almost like a flamed look to it, which is really pretty.
Maria says, hello friend, this is very mesmerizing to watch and your lovely voice is relaxing.
Oh, thanks, sweetie. So that is a fun way of doing it also, just kind of taking that and blending it this way. So that gives you another look altogether. I love that too.
I like that.
We'll put a little bit more, we'll do a little bit bigger section so you can see that a little bit more. So blending straight line into that. A little bit of the orange. Having some extra brushes definitely helps. Grab another brush so that you can keep your colors. There we go. Into that. And we'll do a little bit more of the yellow. And blend on up into that again. Isn't that pretty? Love that. So you can kind of lay off in one direction. Put that in there. This is one of those that you can just play with endlessly. But wouldn't that be a beautiful piece of artwork? I mean, you could just paint yourself a one-of-a-kind piece of artwork, hang it on the wall, and everyone would think you paid a fortune for it. But you did it, so it's even better. All right, that's it for today's episode of Ask Fleurish. I am Deborah, and I would love to hear from you. So tell me where you're from, give me some thumbs up, and tell me what we'd like to learn next week. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks.